In today's episode, we explore what it means to move from feeling different to truly being celebrated. A journey that proves healing and self acceptance are within your reach right now. Ready to celebrate yourself? Join me for an amazing episode and let's keep moving forward together. Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Season 3. Hello, everyone. I'm Steph Vachon, and I'm a human being. Welcome back to the Together Moving Forward podcast, finally loving and respecting ourselves. This is a podcast for the 2S LGBTQI community, along with our friends, allies, and all human beings. If you ever struggle to fully love and respect yourself, you're not alone, and this podcast is here to help. As someone who has navigated my own journey of self acceptance as a queer, I know the power of hearing voices that reflects our own experiences. In this podcast, you'll hear real stories and conversations that leave you with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and the confidence to embrace who you truly are with pride. I'm so excited to be here with you for today's episode with an amazing guest, a genderqueer art therapist and advocate, Wednesdae Reim Ifrach. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I won't tell anyone what to do or how to do things. Instead, I'll share my journey and we will all share our journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Before we go any further, if you like this podcast, please subscribe now and share. Because the more we unite, the stronger we become. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. Wednesdae is a genderqueer, disabled, chronically ill art therapist and advocate in recovery from an eating disorder. Their story is one of turning pain into purpose, embracing what once felt strange, and finding strength through creativity, community, and self acceptance. This conversation is about from feeling different to truly being celebrated, and knowing that healing and self acceptance are within your reach right now. And to make this episode even more special, we'll end up with a short guided therapy session with me so you can get a real sense of what it feels like to work with Wednesdae. I can't wait any longer, and let's go meet Wednesdae right now. So, Wednesdae, thank you so much for being with us today, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be with you today.
Your journey includes being genderqueer, disabled, chronically ill, and in recovery from eating disorder. What was the turning point that helped you transform those challenges into strength and advocacy?
That's a really good question. So I would say my turning point was I was volunteering for an organization called Project Heal. They're a national nonprofit here in the US, and basically their job is advocacy and treatment equity access in eating disorders. So all the donations basically go to paying for people's treatment. At the time, the CEO had actually asked me if I wanted to be on the board. She'd been present for my volunteer work and was just really supportive of the way in which I look at bodies and eating disorders, which is we all get them of every background, and the public stereotype harms all of us. Um, so when I joined the board, I got to learn a lot about the nonprofit side of things in the back end, what leadership looks like, and they really gave me a platform and an opportunity to share my story, which was something that I had never publicly done before. I think therapists are often discouraged from sharing their struggles publicly because somehow magically it discredits us when the reality is, when you look at the list, right? Being genderqueer and disabled and chronically ill and in recovery, those are very obvious things to a lot of people when they sit with me. There are things I can't hide, so why not talk about them, but I think I needed the platform and the permission to do it, right? I think sometimes as adults, we actually still need permission. Um, and so as I started to share my story and I started to use my story as a way to like get donations and raise awareness and do my own research and kind of process all of my own work, I found myself like really developing like I guess the clinical term is we call it post traumatic growth, right? So
Hmm.
bad things happen and then all of a sudden this amazing growth happened and I think that was a time period where I really got to move through that in a way that felt more meaningful than some of the other work I had done on myself. Um, and it made a really big difference because I get to do a lot of amazing things because of those moments.
It's really courageous of you to show up yourself as your true self, and show not just the strength, but I wouldn't say the weakness, but the other parts of who we are.
Right? Like I think people have well, I also think it's a very American thing to just have shame and pretend everything's fine. And I think that's also human nature is to want everyone to think you're okay and everything is fine. And when we share our story, we get to show people actually we all struggle. And I think there's something really amazing about being a therapist and being like, you know what, guys, I'm a hot mess too. I
Mhm.
went to school, I have a degree, I have a license. That doesn't discount or magically save me from being a dysfunctional, flawed human being too.
It's what it makes me think of when we look at social media and everything looks so perfect with everybody. But the
Mhm.
truth is that it's not. So I think this is why this is so good just for you to be honest about your struggle. I try to do the same too because what we look at in the social media is that everything is so perfect, but it's not.
No, no, and I think we hurt ourselves and each other when we pretend that everything is fine. Because then when people struggle, that's where stigma around like mental health happens. And that's where people end up at that really low point where they make decisions or do things that they wouldn't have otherwise done if someone had just told them the truth. So I always tell
Yeah.
my clients, I've lived at the very bottom of the hole and
Mhm.
I clawed my way out. And I am very honored to sit at the bottom of the hole with everybody else now.
You said that the things that once made you strange or didn't help you fit in are now the things that you love most about yourself. How did you move from rejection to pride in those parts of your identity?
Honestly, I think the first part was admitting to myself that we all care about what people think of us. I think when people do the whole "I don't care, I know I'm fabulous," like, yes, that's true, and, like, we all are affected by other human beings.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that a lot of my own pride in kind of, like, being a strange, unusual, like, darker person that I think people just kind of don't always understand is, my art and my poetry and a lot of my creative outlets have really taught me that, like, part of not just being a therapist, but, like, being an artist is embracing every aspect of being a person, not just the polished parts that make people wanna be around you.
Hmm.
And I found the more I was myself, the more the people I wanted to be around me. And I feel like that's how a lot of, like, my community building happened is when I kind of stepped out of I tell everyone, like, the very beginning of my career, I dressed a certain way because I thought I was supposed to. I wasn't fully out because I thought it would be unprofessional, right? There was this really rigid box, and that box harmed me and I think everyone around me. Um, and the minute I started creating again, because we all go through periods where we don't, I was like, "Oh, this feels so much better than pretending." Who wants to pretend every day?
Hmm.
Like, and also to be really honest, like, I've made it this far in life. I get to be alive. There are a lot of, like, queer people that are not, that couldn't embrace being themselves, and so
Yeah.
I think there's also that gratitude, like, I would rather people think I was strange than be dead,
That
truly.
is, and what you just said is so true. Just when you truly show who you are, this is the people that you attract in your life or the people you want to be with.
And the more people that we have, I think the easier it is to be yourself because people start to show you that those parts of you are actually the parts of you they value.
Yeah. Community seems to play a huge role in your life, whether through art therapy, eating disorder recovery, or body liberation spaces. How have these communities supported you in embracing yourself more fully?
So I love that these questions are back to back. It works perfectly. So I always tell everyone, like, I wasn't out right away. I actually had a really horrible experience my first job in the eating disorder field where a supervisor told me it would basically be unprofessional to be myself and it would be a career ruiner.
Hmm.
Um, I had always kind of been open about being like bi pansexual, and most people didn't care because I'm married to a masculine person. So there's a lot of assumptions about my life that A, kept me safe, and B, meant people could kind of wash out an entire part of my identity. So I waited, and then as I started to kind of get deeper into body liberation work, I made a lot of queer friends who were very much trying to course correct the damage that had been done in that former relationship and had very much been like, what would be the worst thing that would happen? What would be the you lose everything? You don't want the things that you are gonna lose if you're gonna lose them by coming out.
Yeah.
So I always tell everyone, I'd been out in terms of my sexuality since high school, but in terms of my gender, it really wasn't until like 2017, 2018 that I really stepped into this part of myself. And I found that the people that went away are not missed at all. And the people that stayed and the people that gravitated towards me were the people that we all wanted to be around each other. It was also interesting, like, when I started to, like, have top surgery and all of those things, people that I'd never met in person that I'd connected with on Instagram because of a lot of my advocacy work, they sent me gifts to help me take care of myself. They sent flowers. Like, we didn't need to meet face to face to have that community connection. And I
Wow.
think that was the moment where I was like, this is what community is supposed to be like. This is what chosen family is supposed to be like. This is what being queer is supposed to be like. I don't want to go back. I don't want to be that person that pretends anymore. And I was really, really, I think I'm really, really lucky because not everyone gets to have an experience where they're like embraced so lovingly. Um, but I also tell everyone, I have a partner who's also an art therapist who is also queer and works in our community and was just very much like, if someone doesn't like it and you have a hard time telling them to go away, I'll tell them to go away. Very, very supportive person, and so I think that was also helpful is when you are in a relationship where you can build community as a couple, I think
Hmm.
that also makes a difference, and when someone loves you enough to love you through all the parts of this, you learn what you won't accept from other people anymore, and I think once we learn what we won't accept, it's actually easier to build community.
So would you say the hard step is really to just go through this step of just being like, okay, this is who I am, and this is I have to go. It's to accept it, and then everything looks like it feels better and it goes smoother, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I tell everyone, like, I cried to a ton of people when I came out because I was just so nervous, and it's so
Mm,
vulnerable, right? It's so vulnerable to tell people, "Okay, you know this version of me that you know? You don't actually. Yes, a lot of the things about me you do know, but there's this actually big piece of who I am that you don't." I would say maybe I lost 10 people in the grand scheme of things, which, like, for a lot of people, like, they only have 10 people, so I know I'm super fortunate in that way.
mhm,
But I tell everyone, like, I cried to my dad when I came out, and I did not expect my dad to be supportive, not because he's a bad person, he's just older and from a very different generation where gender was not a thing that we talked about.
mhm.
And his response was that he was really sorry that in a lot of my therapeutic work, I see a lot of parents throw their kids away. He doesn't understand it and he's not going to do it. And I also think that set a precedent for me that if, a 70 something year old man can sit there and still love his kid, I kind of expect everyone to behave that way too.
Creativity through art, poetry, and even tattoos have been a major part of your resilience. How did creativity become a tool for healing in your own journey?
It actually started when I was in high school. I was horrible. Like, I tell everyone, you want to see someone that was just like the messiest mess. That was me in high school. I struggled immensely. I actually barely graduated high school, which now is like shocking. Like, I'm almost done with a PhD. Like,
Mm,
if people don't believe me, I was literally like, I missed so much school. I was one day away from not being allowed to graduate. I had a lot of trauma growing up that I am really lucky I worked through and healed those relationships, but I had a high school, drama, art, and English teacher. Will always remember them, Elaine, Randy, and John, and they were my people. They really believed in me, and they really embraced who I was, including all the parts of me that were really messy. And they really fostered my love for creativity. Like, anytime I did something creative, they were there. Even when it was bad, they were like, "Bad is good because bad means the next thing will be better."
Wow.
Like, you're growing as an artist every time you do that. And so, honestly, like, anytime I was at school and I was just, like, mentally checked out or depressed or they were worried about how I was feeling, they would actually just come get me and sit with me if they didn't have a class. I sat in the art room and cried with my art teacher so many times, went on so many walks with my English teacher, and they really taught me that if I kept making art, if I kept writing poetry, if I kept doing these things, I would get there eventually.
Hmm.
And they really showed me what unconditional love is from people that are not related to you and don't have an obligation to love you. And that really, like, fueled that creativity. So I went to school and I studied poetry, art, and psychology, and that's when, like, art therapy really came to that forefront and made it so I could do all the things that I love and help people at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, for me, the tattoo piece, I actually just, like, published an article on it. I don't know how I pulled that off, but I did. All about how for a lot of people, especially queer people, tattoos can be a way of, like, owning our bodies and very much deciding, like, who we want to be, how we wanna be seen, how we wanna remember things.
Hmm.
So for me, a lot of mine are all about storytelling. I'm a big storyteller in my art and my poetry. I like people to go on a journey with me. And so I think it all just kind of came together in this really cool, like, little pile where I get to live my life, processing things through art, helping people do that, writing poetry when I need words instead of images. I feel really fortunate that from a really young age, people showed me that my creativity was the thing that was going to save me.
So sometimes it just takes one or two people, to help you be who you are and reconnect with who you are. It's making me think about my passions and when I was young. For me, it was ice skating, and now I'm back into ice skating, and how much it's helping me. Oh my God, to heal so much and just to be myself again.
Hmm.
And okay, I've always wanted a tattoo. Every year I keep postponing it, and I'm so scared I'm gonna regret it. But then I know that once I'm gonna have it, I'll be happy. So you're helping me to move
Oh,
forward. I've got like a friend that she's a great artist, and I'm sure she would do an amazing job. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the perfect.
hmm.
What is that going to be for me to have the perfect tattoo? I haven't an image or what I would like, but I keep postponing it. But you're helping me moving forward with that. I have to do it. I have to do it, but it's like
I mean, the beginning is scary. I tell everyone my first one, I was like terrified the entire time. And I say to this day, I don't know why I keep going back,
Mm,
except that, like, every single for me, and, like, I think people should get tattoos for whatever reason they want. But for me personally, every piece is a person, a place, a moment that has built me, that I
mm.
wanna have with me. And so for me personally, like, it's made a big difference on a bad day when you, like, look down and, I have a tattoo for my mom on my shoulder, and I'll, like, look over and I'll be like, "Cool, she's there." Like, we're
Mhm.
there, we're together still. And for me, that was really healing.
Okay, I'm gonna call my friend again. You've said resilience isn't about never struggling, but about continuing to show up for yourself with compassion. And oh my God, I love that one too. What does resilience look like for you right now?
Oh, that's such a tricky question, but I love it. Um, so for me right now, so I made this decision in the middle of the insanity that is America, that I was going to be myself regardless of the risk, because the risk outweighs the reward no matter how bad it gets.
Mhm.
Hiding who I am hurt me for such a long time. Doing it now just because we're spouting rhetoric about lots of queer people that we know isn't true, and that I'd like to think most people know isn't true. So I've decided this is the year where, like, I'm creating as much as possible and putting as much in the world as possible, both because I find it really healing to help me process everything, but the other piece, and this will sound a little morbid, but I'm okay with it. If I'm not here tomorrow, what do I leave behind? Well, how do
Yeah.
I want to be remembered? What do I want people to have? So I have a series of process paintings. I've been making videos about that process to show people kind of like what this looks like. But I also have a poetry manuscript out there that's going to get published. I just finished writing a book that'll come out in June on using art therapy and body image for queer people, and a bunch of research articles. And really, like, this is my time where my resilience and my self compassion is, when I'm gone, these things will be here.
Mm.
Like, I get to dedicate a book to my nephew. Like, to me, I'm like, nothing will ever be more meaningful than when I get to see his name on that page and know that forever he will know how loved he was. Or that someday when I'm not here, someone could see a painting or read a poem and feel a little less alone.
Yeah.
Um, and I think of, like, our younger selves. Like, I wish my younger self had poetry and art and those things from queer people where I could just feel like I'm not wrong. Nothing about me is wrong.
That is so
And
true. What you just
right?
said is just so, so, so true.
I feel like it's what we needed, and so, the non-morbid part of this is I wanna put things in the world that our younger selves and other kids that were like us growing up can see and know that they're okay. Even if the adults around them are nuts and don't get it, they'll
Yeah.
see other adults were queer and we're proud to be queer and we're okay, and that they can be too if they get through the hard moments.
Wow. That is like so amazing what you just said. One of your most powerful message is that your body is loved exactly as it is. What do you hope every listener can take away
Right?
about self-acceptance?
Well, that it's an ever-changing journey, that self-acceptance isn't like this destination on a map, it's not a landing place, it's like a state of being, and that will shift and change. And I'm honest with people, I do not love myself all the time, and I don't accept everything about me. But ultimately, I know that my body is loved exactly as it is, and it deserves to be here, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, my body matters, your body matters, everyone that's listening, like, your bodies actually matter because our existence matters. And I think
Mhm.
that's the core of it for me, is like, existing, being here matters. We actually make the world a better, more beautiful place just by existing, just by being here, just by being ourselves. And I often tell people learning to be in my body was doing the work to manage trauma so that my body could become the greatest gift that I gave to myself. And
Mhm.
when I started to learn how to do that and see myself as less of this just aesthetic thing that people are going to judge me by, but the thing that keeps me here.
Mhm.
Like, no matter how bad it gets, this keeps us here. We need this. You get to decide what you do with it, but I want everyone to feel as safe as possible to be in your body, to embrace your body, to be here. And honestly, I tell people often that's where my self-acceptance and love for myself and my body comes from, is it keeps me here so we get to do all these amazing things. We get to have these conversations. We couldn't do that without our bodies. So on the worst day where I hate absolutely everything about myself and everybody else, I can look at myself and go, but I'm here.
Mhm.
And that's really amazing and special.
Since you are an art therapist, I'd love to end on something special. Would you be open to guiding me through a very short session here on the podcast so our listeners can get a real sense of what it feels like to work with you?
Ugh, I love this. I love what I do. So this is my greatest joy. Okay. So why don't we just start with a little grounding to get us started. So a lot of my clients, when they come into my physical space, I like to do a little just somatic grounding. So you can just start by stretching out a little. If you need to take a drink of something, whatever feels
Oh
good
yeah.
right now, right? All the things that your body needs to function, and just kind of like get comfy in your chair so that you feel like you're kind of like centered into your body as much as possible. And maybe just like close your eyes for a minute and reflect on how you're feeling, and see if you can channel something that makes you feel positive about yourself. When you have that feeling, I want you to hold on to it. I'm going to ask you some questions about it. So, if you could label your feeling as a color, what color is that feeling?
I would say blue.
If it were a texture and you could hold it, what would it feel like?
Silk.
If it tasted like something, what would you want it to taste like?
Mm. Chocolate.
Oh, that sounds delightful. And if it were a smell, what would you want it to smell like?
The rose.
And if it were a sound, what sound would you want it to be?
Oh, bird singing.
Oh, I love this. This is so expressive. Okay, so we said blue silk, chocolate rose, and birds singing. That sounds so peaceful. So, can you start to think of a time when you felt this way and maybe felt grounded in your body? Maybe it was a moment of feeling whole and accepted or an important moment in your life.
I would say for me, every time I step on the ice, being back on the ice skating today is is when I feel really thankful and amazing.
I love that. Okay, you can open your eyes. So if we were in person, I would, usually give you some art supplies and we would actually build that moment into a safe place. And what I do is I use that with clients for resourcing. So what resourcing means is we create this place that you can go back to in session or in the real world when stuff feels too activating. So
Mhm.
since we're not in person to make art, I want you to kind of picture a place that embodies that feeling. It sounds like the ice is a big part of that, right? Skating is a big part of that. But it doesn't need to be real. It could be imaginary. So you could have anything there that you wanted. So when you start building that in your mind, what does that look like for you?
Well, I'm on ice, but it's really warm, and I love the beach and I love the ocean. So I could be skating right by the ocean, and the sun is warming me up, and yeah, that would be the perfect place for me.
That honestly sounds delightful. So I often will say to clients, that's your safest place and you get to build it over time. So right now, right, it's the ice, but on the beach, you get to be warm, but you also get to experience this thing that you love doing and you're getting back into. And over time, you might add people or things, or I don't know. I once had a client, an adult client, be like, I want a unicorn because 5-year-old me really wanted a unicorn. Like, you can literally add anything. And then you get to go back there when things are really hard and remind yourself,
Hmm.
"Oh, okay, blue silk, chocolate, the air at the beach also smells like roses. The birds are singing. People I love are there, or they're gone because you want to be left alone. But you have this place that
Hmm.
you created that's just yours that none of us get to go to but you."
Hmm. Yeah, I would add my husband and our son. They
Oh,
could be watching, and it like there would be like a little stand, or the lifeguard. They'll be sitting on the lifeguard chair watching.
I
That would be
love
even more
that.
perfect. Yeah,
They help
yeah.
keep you safe.
Oh yeah, totally. So much, so much.
How did that feel for you?
Ah, I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm gonna cry. Woof.
It's okay. That's my clients will tell you my superpower is I actually make everybody cry. I
Yeah,
don't know why. It's something that I'm just able to tap into, and I tell everyone it's because I think I cry, like see, I'm gonna start crying. I think it's because I cry every day, just, like, things are hard, but also so beautiful.
yeah. I think it's that is so good what we just did, because it, like you said, times are really hard right now. I try not to watch the news anymore. I try not to go on social media anymore. So to have this thought right now, it's overwhelming me with joy and peace. Yeah, thank you. That's oof, okay.
I know, we all need that. I
Yeah,
hope people that listen, like, give themselves that too. I tell
yeah,
everyone, Mine is the beach too.
Mhm.
My nephew is there building sandcastles. My closest friends are there. My partner is there. All my pets are there. Oh, the cats are on the beach
Yeah.
behaving themselves, maybe. And I always tell everyone ice cream unlimited on demand without any guilt and a good book and just I just because you're right, there's just we're inundated with the negative and it's scary. And that's the other piece. We're inundated with negative and scary and like we all deserve a safe place to go to. And sometimes it has to be that internal experience.
And every day, like we have to give ourselves that gift to do even a little thing,
Yeah.
even if it's just like what we just did, stop and feel that, but also give yourself just one little thing that will make you happy today. And I really, really try. I think I do pretty much every day now. Like, okay, what am I going to do today to make sure that when I finish this that day and I go to bed, that I did something that made me happy. It's so important. Now I'm trying to take back the time that I missed, and I've tried to do too much. That's why maybe I'm sick a little bit today because I tried to do so much. I tried to live my day like so fully, even more. Like, what can I do even more, more, more? But I think that's the key to keep going every day is to give yourself that gift of what am I going to do today that is going to make me smile or have a tear in my eye or yeah, that's
Yeah. You
yeah.
have to. I
Mm,
tell everyone on the worst day ever, I sit down, I make sure I read a poem or two, right? I make sure I put like a single brushstroke on a canvas or gosh, just like make someone else a sandwich, right? Something creative or something that I can give to someone just
mhm,
to feel like even on the worst day, like it's still worth it.
yeah. Wow. Well, Wednesday. That was even better than what I thought.
Oh,
I knew
good.
I knew this was gonna be amazing meeting you. Thank you so much. All your info is on your website, which I'm gonna put in the bio. Everybody go see what Wednesday's doing. It's fabulous. Thank you for being in the world today. Thank you for being yourself. You are a great inspiration for me, and I'm sure for many, many, many others. Thank you so much. That was so cool.
Of course. Thank you. It was an honor to be here and share that with everyone.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Have a great, great day, and
You too.
we'll talk later.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye. Wow. Wednesday, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your incredible story. I especially loved our short therapy session. It was such a powerful experience, and I know our listeners are feeling the same. If you would like to learn more about Wednesday and their work, you'll find their website link in this episode bio. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it, leave a comment, and let us know your thoughts. I'm always looking for inspiring guests to join me in the podcast. If you or someone you know want to share their journey, inspire others, and make a real difference in our community, please reach out and send me an email. My dear friends, it is already time to say au revoir just for now. So please join me next Wednesday for another episode of the Together Moving Forward podcast. Everybody, share this podcast and spread the good news. By sharing this podcast today, you will help someone find the strength to embrace who they truly are. Wherever you are from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go, put your hand on your heart and repeat after me, all of us together. I celebrate my differences as strength. Yep, I celebrate my differences as strength. Please subscribe now. Your follow helps me keep this podcast alive and growing for our community. From shame, guilt, silence, and rejection to pride, freedom, healing, and love, together moving forward. My dear friends, see you next week. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.